Ladies and gentlemen, how you see yourself is not just an opinion, it's the foundation of your life. It's the lens through which you view the world, and more importantly, the filter that shapes every decision you make. If your self-image is rooted in doubt, fear, or insecurity, you'll only see obstacles where there are opportunities. But when you shift your perspective, you unlock a power within you that can turn impossibilities into stepping stones. Think about it. Every single person who's achieved greatness, no matter where they started, had to first change how they viewed themselves. They had to believe they were capable before anyone else saw it. That belief wasn't always natural or easy. Many of them were surrounded by doubters, weighed down by circumstances, or haunted by their own mistakes. But they understood one crucial truth. Your mind doesn't wait for proof. Your mind believes whatever you tell it. If you tell yourself you're not good enough, not smart enough, not talented enough, your actions will follow that narrative. You'll hesitate, avoid challenges, and sabotage your own growth. On the flip side, when you start to see yourself as someone who is resilient, capable, and deserving of success, something incredible happens. Your actions change. You start stepping into rooms you once thought you didn't belong in. You start taking risks, learning from failures, and building momentum. Here's the thing, your current perspective is not the truth. It's just a story you've told yourself over and over again. If you've been telling yourself you're not worthy or that you're stuck, you've conditioned your mind to see life through that filter. But the moment you decide to rewrite that story, your reality will begin to change. And think about an athlete who's training for a championship. If they see themselves as just another competitor, they'll train, compete like one. But if they see themselves as a champion before they've even won, they'll show up with a completely different energy, discipline, and focus. That shift in perspective isn't about arrogance, it's about alignment. They're aligning their actions with the version of themselves they want to become. And this isn't just about careers or achievements, it's about every area of your life. Relationships, health, personal growth, all of it is influenced by how you see yourself. If you see yourself as someone who deserves love and respect, you won't settle for less. If you see yourself as someone who values their health, you'll make choices that reflect that belief. The beautiful thing about perspective is that it's flexible. It's not set in stone. You have the power to change it starting right now. You don't need permission. You don't need a perfect plan. And you don't need anyone else to validate you. All you need is a decision to see yourself differently and act in alignment with that vision every single day. So if your reality feels small, limited, or unfulfilling, don't look outward for the solution. Look inward. Change the way you see yourself and watch how your entire world transforms. Nobody tears you down like you can. The harsh words, the doubts, the constant replay of mistakes, you're harder on yourself than anyone else could ever be. You're living with a voice in your head that questions your every move, that reminds you of your flaws, and that makes you feel small when you dream of something big. But here's the truth, that voice isn't protecting you. It's limiting you. It's not your truth, it's just noise. You were born with self-doubt. As a child, you didn't hesitate to try, to fall, and to get back up again. Somewhere along the way, though, the world taught you to criticize yourself. Maybe it was a comment someone made, a failure that hit too hard, or an expectation you couldn't meet. Over time, you started to believe that being your own worst critic was somehow the key to improvement. But it's not. Beating yourself up doesn't make you better. It makes you smaller. Think about how much energy you waste on self-criticism. How many times have you talked yourself out of trying something new, stepping into an opportunity, or reaching for a goal because that inner critic told you you're not ready or you're going to fail? Imagine if that energy was spent lifting yourself up instead. Imagine if instead of doubting yourself, you encouraged yourself the way you would a friend or someone you love. When someone you care about is struggling, do you criticize them? Do you remind them of their failures and say, you're not good enough? Of course not. You tell them they can do it. You remind them of their strengths. You cheer them on. So why don't you do that for yourself? Why don't you treat yourself with the same kindness, patience, and encouragement that you give to others? Being your biggest fan doesn't mean ignoring your weaknesses or pretending everything obvious. It means recognizing your value even when things go wrong. It means telling yourself, I messed up, but I'm still worthier. I didn't get it right today, but I'm learning. It's about celebrating progress instead of obsessing over perfection. Here's the thing, the world is already full of challenges, and there are already plenty of people who might doubt you or criticize you. Don't add to that noise by tearing yourself down. Be the one person in your corner who always believes in you, no matter what. When you start cheering for yourself instead of criticizing, something amazing happens. You start to see your potential instead of your limits. You start to take more risks, to embrace growth, and to step in opportunities you once thought were out of reach. Self-criticism is a habit, but so is self-encouragement. It takes practice, but it's a practice that changes everything. So the next time you hear that critical voice in your head, stop and ask yourself, would I say this to someone I care about? If the answer is no, then it doesn't belong in your mind. Replace it with words that build you up and watch how your confidence, your emotions, and your life begin to transform. Reframing is one of the most powerful tools you can use to change your life, and it's something you can master right now. The idea behind reframing is simple. You take a situation, an event, or a thought that's causing you stress, fear, or frustration, and you look at it from a different perspective. You change the way you interpret situations to reveal opportunities for growth, learning, and even success. When you shift how you view a challenge, the challenge itself no longer has control over you. It becomes a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. Think about the hardest things you've ever gone through, the struggles, the failures, the setbacks. Now ask yourself this: what if instead of seeing them as defeats or obstacles, you view them as lessons? What if those moments were actually preparing you for something greater? When you reframe your experiences, you unlock a new level of resilience. Instead of seeing hardship as something to avoid, you see it as an essential part of the journey to becoming who you're meant to be. Reframing isn't just for big events, it applies to everyday thoughts as well. Every time you face a challenge, there's an opportunity to reframe the way you think about it. Let's say you're about to take on a difficult project at work. Your first thought might be, this is going to be too hard for me, or I'm not capable of handling this. Those thoughts limit you before you even get started. But what if you reframed it and thought, this is an opportunity to push my limits and grow, or this is my chance to prove I can do hard things? In that moment, you change the situation from something overwhelming into something empowering. Reframing doesn't mean ignoring reality. It doesn't mean pretending everything is easy or that you have all the answers. It means recognizing that you control how you respond to the world around you. You can't always control your circumstances, but you can always control your mindset. When you change how you see something, you change how you act, and how you act will determine the results you get. Let's look at another example. Think about failure. Most people view failure as something to avoid at all costs. It's scary, it's painful, and it feels like a personal reflection of your abilities. But reframing failure changes this narrative. Instead of fearing failure, you begin to see it as an essential part of the success process. Every time you fail, you learn something valuable that brings you one step closer to your goal. Failure becomes a teacher, not a verdict. When you reframe failure this way, it loses its power to stop you. This shift in perspective can have an immediate and profound impact on your life. By reframing the way you think, you start seeing opportunities where others see obstacles. You'll find that challenges no longer paralyze you but push you to grow. Every difficult moment becomes an opportunity to become better, stronger, and more capable. So the next time life presents you with a challenge or a setback, don't let your first reaction be to feel defeated. Instead, pause, breathe, and ask yourself, how can I reframe this? What is the lesson here? How is this preparing me for what's next? Reframing has the power to turn adversity into advantage, and when you learn to master it, you'll find that no matter what life throws at you, you're always in control. We all carry labels. Some of them are given to us by society, others by our families, and some we place on ourselves. Labels like too young, too old, not smart enough, not good enough, or even lazy, unworthy, or incapable. These labels often shape how we see ourselves, how we act, and how we approach life. But here's the problem: labels limit us. They trap us in predefined boxes and tell us who we are before we even have the chance to define ourselves. They tell us who we should be, instead of allowing us the freedom to discover who we can become. But what if those labels didn't define you? What if you could rip them off and free yourself from the constraints they impose? The reality is, you don't have to live by the labels others have assigned to you. You don't have to live by the labels you've given yourself either. Labels are just stories that can be rewritten. The moment you decide to break free from the labels, you step into the vast, limitless potential of who you truly are. Imagine someone who has been labeled as shy their whole life. They've been told over and over again that they're introverted, that they don't belong in social situations, that they can't speak up or be a leader. This label becomes their truth. But what happens when they challenge that label? What happens when they decide to push past the boundaries that label has set for them? They might start by attending a social event they normally would have avoided. They might push themselves to speak up in a meeting, even if it's just once. Slowly, the label of shy begins to fade, and they discover a new version of themselves, a version that's confident, outgoing, and more than capable of handling social situations. The label no longer holds power over them because they chose to redefine who they are. We all carry labels, but we don't have to carry them forever. These labels are just fixed ideas about who we are and what we're capable of. They might have once served a purpose, but they no longer have to define us. The danger of living with labels is that they confine us to limited thinking. We start to believe that who we were yesterday is who we'll always be. We start to believe that our past mistakes or failures are permanent marks of our identity, rather than stepping stones to greater things. When you stop living by labels, you open up a world of possibilities. You begin to see yourself as a work in progress, a person who can grow, change, and evolve with every experience. The beauty of life is that it's full of new opportunities. And you don't have to be bound by any label that was placed on you. You have the power to define yourself, to rewrite your story, and to break free from the limitations others have imposed on you. So if you've been living under the weight of a label, it's time to break free. Whether it's a label given to you by someone else or one you've placed on yourself, challenge it. Ask yourself, who am I really? What am I capable of? What version of myself can I become today? When you let go of the labels, you make room for a new, more authentic version of yourself to emerge, one that's bold, unbound, and limitless. Well, it's not about who you were yesterday or even who people say you are today. It's about who you're choosing to become in this moment. And the only label that matters is the one you create for yourself. When it comes to growth and change, one of the hardest pills to swallow is that you are responsible for your transformation. It's easy to point fingers at your circumstances, your environment, your past, or the people around you, but at the end of the day, you hold the key to unlocking your future. If you're waiting for someone else to change, for a perfect moment to come, or for life to hand you an opportunity on a silver platter, you're missing the most powerful truth. You have the ability to create the life you want right now. Taking responsibility for your transformation means acknowledging that no one else can do this for you. You can't wait for external circumstances to magically align. You can't blame your past for where you are today. Yes, your past shaped you, but it does not define you. You have the power to decide how you show up in the world and how you respond to life's challenges. This doesn't mean taking a burdensome load of guilt or shame for your past mistakes or missed opportunities. It means owning your choices and actions and recognizing that every step you take now shapes the future you want. It means acknowledging that you are the one who will decide if you rise above your circumstances or remain stuck in them. It's about understanding that while you can't control everything that happens, you absolutely control how you react to it. When you take responsibility, you also take power. You stop being a passive observer of your life and become an active participant. Instead of waiting for something to change, you decide to change. You stop complaining about what's wrong with your situation and start asking, what can I do to make this better? You stop waiting for permission and take action. You stop seeking validation from others and trust yourself to make the right decisions. Taking responsibility doesn't mean doing everything on your own. It means recognizing that while you may seek guidance and support from others, the ultimate responsibility for your life rests with you. When you take full ownership of your actions, thoughts, and decisions, you empower yourself to take control of your destiny. No longer do you passively accept what comes your way, you actively create your path forward. It's also important to recognize that transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's not about one big dramatic change. It's about small, consistent actions that compound over time. When you take responsibility, you commit to making progress, no matter how slow or difficult it might seem. Every small step forward is a victory. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to learn and grow. The key is to keep moving, to keep showing up, and to keep making choices that align with the person you want to become. When you take responsibility for your transformation, you release yourself from the burden of waiting for things to change. You stop waiting for circumstances to be perfect. You stop blaming the world for your struggles. And you start realizing that you are in control. You have the power to create a life that reflects who you truly are and who you are becoming. The only question is, what are you going to do about it? The power to change is in your hands. And when you take responsibility for your transformation, you unlock an entire world of possibilities. The future is waiting for you to step into it. All it takes is your decision to take responsibility and start walking the path of growth and empowerment. Your future is not a distant, abstract concept. It's happening right now, and it's waiting for you to step into it. The version of yourself that you're holding on to today, your old habits, your old beliefs, your old mindset will only get you so far. If you keep showing up the same way, expecting different results, you're going to be stuck in a cycle. But here's the powerful truth. Your future is not defined by your past. The version of yourself you are today does not have to be the person you will be tomorrow. The future you want, the success you dream of, the happiness you desire, it's all available. It's waiting for you to evolve into the person who can receive it. You've probably heard the saying, your best self is a future version of yourself. But it's more than just a motivational quote. It's a call to action. The future you want to live begins with the decisions you make today. The way you think about yourself today will directly influence the way your life unfolds. The potential to achieve greatness, to create the life you dream of, is already within you, but in order to unlock that potential, you need to become someone who believes in it. You need to become someone who acts in alignment with that future. Not the version of yourself who is stuck in limiting beliefs or outdated narratives. We often spend so much time looking back at where we've been or dwelling on past mistakes that we forget to look forward to where we are going. But if you keep holding on to the version of yourself that was shaped by past failures, fears, and doubts, you won't be able to grow into the person you need to be to succeed. If you want a different life, you must become a different version of yourself. The person you were yesterday isn't going to be the one who takes you to new heights. Only by shedding the limitations of your past self can you begin to step into the powerful version of yourself that is ready to make bold moves and take risks. It's time to stop living as if your past defines you. Yes, your past experiences matter. They've taught you value vaults, shaped your character, and made you stronger. But they don't have to dictate who you are going forward. You have the power to reinvent yourself at any time. Your future is not waiting for someone else to change the course of your life. It's waiting for you to make the decision to change. The person you're becoming, the goals you want to achieve, the life you want to live, it's all available to you, but you have to believe that you are worthy of it all. Think about the future you want. How does that version of yourself think? How do they act? How do they handle challenges and setbacks? Do they operate out of fear or do they rise to the occasion? The answers to these questions can help you step into that future self today. Start showing up as the person who is capable of achieving those dreams. Stop waiting for external circumstances to change. Start being the change. Your future is not some distant, unreachable place. It's a continuation of who you choose to become right now. The decisions you make today will create the foundation for your tomorrow. Every time you choose to level up, to grow, to challenge yourself, you are becoming that new version of yourself. The future is waiting for you to step into it with confidence, courage, and belief in yourself. The only question is, are you ready to answer the call and become the person you need to be to live that future?